Welcome back. Now we're sending it to Brad Barnes, who has this week's Wildcat Sports Report.
Welcome to another week's edition of the Wildcat Sports Report. It was yet another winning week here at Wildcat Nation. Basketball started and ended its hot streak this week, and track brought home some hardware. Let's take a closer look. It was a big night in the Collins Center as Mid-America Nazarene came into town. The Pioneers on a hot streak in conference play, but for the Cats, it was all about the seniors. Gloria Tonmo here with the dish from Petty, fadeaway, up and in. Later on, Tenpenny on the drive. Nothing there, but Petty's going to make it happen from deep. She's second in the nation in three-point percentage. Raylyn Stewart now the drive and jumper. She gets it to fall. She had 14 on the night. Baker having trouble now, miscommunication on the handoff and a turnover. Baker struggled all of the second half. For MNU now, it's Janae Garza, shot blocked by Atonmo, but putback was good by Daria Sprue. Sprue led Mid-America with 14. Pioneers win this one, 51-63. The Baker men have been battling all season for their rights to the conference tournament, and coming into the February 16th matchup against Mid-America Nazarene, they were in prime position. Baker came into the game hot, going 7-1 in their last 8. They would need all the spark they could get against the top-ranked Mid-America Nazarene Pioneers. The stands were packed for what was probably the best atmosphere of the season, and the Wildcats would shine in this one. First for Baker, offense working quickly. Ball moves around the perimeter, down into the corner for Ryan Duvier. He made it happen from 15. This time it's Jack Shortell. Back to the basket, the spin and set up to Joe Wachter on the wing. Money for the three. Wachter had 12. Now Todd Isles into the lane. Can't get it to go, but Steinlage follows. 18 points for him. Sommer Jasser now. He was suffering from an ankle injury, but the big man making it happen from the free throw line. Shortell again for the Cats, backing down. Tries to get his teammates involved, but the dish comes back to him, give him 8 points. The Wildcats escape this one and take out the top team in the conference, 71-67. You can catch both teams in action once again on February 25th for their final home game against Central Methodist. Rivalries are one of the biggest aspects in college sports, and for Baker and Mid-America, this game means more than anything.
In today's sports world, we are blessed with amazing players and spectacular highlights. But what makes sports all the more worthy is the rivalry. You have seen it all your life, from Boston and New York on the baseball diamond to Chicago versus Green Bay on the turf. Win or lose, the hatred still lies beneath. For Baker University, there are many opponents stepping across the line for battle. Some teams are dominant, some fight for just one win. But be sure that there is one team that Baker will always have on its mind.
To be honest, we don't really like Mid-America. In pretty much any sport, we pretty much don't want them to be around and be any part of our competition anymore.
Baker and Mid-America seem to be at each other's throat constantly. In football, the Pioneers led a late surge to come back and beat Baker by 3 points. In volleyball, Baker upset MNU in conference play just to be upended in the conference tournament. The BU men's soccer team also dropped their first loss of the season in the conference title game against none other than Mid-America.
It's always a game. It doesn't matter what the records are. Throw it all out the window because you know it's going to be a good game, and I think the crowd that's going to show up tonight will be evident in that fact.
There is no question that the crowd showed up. Baker led a strong push from the tip-off and went into halftime leading by 1. The rest of the game was filled with roaring stands, player ejections, and even students doing flips across the gym floor. Call it a rivalry, call it a hatred if you like, but make no mistake, the Baker Mid-America matchup is one that will go down in the record books.
The baseball and softball teams also got their season started off this weekend. The women traveled to Fort Worth for the Cowtown Classic. They went 2-1 on the weekend and will gear up for the CBC Meltdown on March 9th. The baseball team traveled to Oklahoma to take on Rogers State. They dropped 3 but came away with a win against one of the top teams in the nation. They will be at home next against Dakota State on February 25th. This year, Baker has seen more athletic success than they could ever ask for. In the fall, the Wildcats pulled in 4 conference championships, and this past weekend, they made it 6. The indoor track teams traveled to Iowa to compete in the HAC Indoor Conference Championship and came back with a win on the men and the women's side. Congratulations to both teams. That's going to do it for this week's edition of the Wildcat Sports Report. I'm your host, Brad Barnes. Back to you, Alex.
Thanks, Brad. This wraps up this week's episode of Orangeline. I'm your host, Alex Giraldi. We'll see you next week.